Hi, Jim Berthold here from OLI Systems. In today's video, we're going to look at how to use a private database from OLI Systems inside Aspen Hysys. For this example, we're going to be using Aspen Hysys version 11, and we're going to make the assumption that you also got the OLI engine for Aspen Hysys installed and properly linked. There are other videos and tutorials on our wiki page to explain how to do that if you haven't done so already. We're going to assume that OLI has provided you a private database. So I'm going to show you a folder. This folder here is a series of private databases that OLI has prepared for users and distributed. Now, this happens to be on my computer, of course, and I'm storing them in a folder called Documents, My OLI Cases, and Databanks. This is a folder that we create with our own software to store databases for use with all of our products that were created outside the normal databases that we provide. In this particular case, we have a database provided by Ron Springer here of OLI Systems. It is for ammonia and sodium hydroxide. It's an update after the release of our software, so we produce a private database to give the user the update before we release the next version of the software. The file here, you can see I've turned on file extensions and has a extension of DDB. This identifies it as a OLI database. Now, this is for version 10 of our engine and later, and we're only going to be referring to those from now on. So I've just taken the email and I've copied it into this folder. It's a very simple install. We recommend that you use this folder when you do store private databases from OLI because it makes it nice and convenient for us to find it. So I'm going to move that out of the way temporarily, and we're going to go ahead and create an Aspen OLI case. So we'll just start with new, and this will take a second or two to bring up the actual case. There's nothing new here if you're already using Aspen Hysys. We always start with a fluid package. It's just easier for OLI to visualize this. We are going to go ahead and add a fluid package, and this comes to users of Aspen Hysys when you have the license turned on internally and as well as properly linked to OLI. We're going to go ahead and go right into View, and this brings up the component list. Now, we could have done it the other way, but it's easier to get the programs linked if you start in a fluid package with OLI. We are going to go ahead and use the OLI MSC thermodynamic fluid package. Here, we still have the traditional aqueous thermodynamic package, but we're no longer developing that. So everything in the future will be MSC. So since this is an MSC database, that would have been explained in the email. We're going to go ahead and select it. Okay. And it builds our component list here. We're now going to pick an additional database. Now, this is a button that is unique to OLI with inside Aspen Hysys. So go ahead and click it. And it brings up a fairly complicated dialog. It looks simple, but it's actually not. The first thing we have to tell the program is where is that database we want to use located. Per file, there can only be one folder. So once again, we'll come back to this case here, and it's simple. Just we'll copy and paste that. And you see it's got my name and the whole bit in there. We can now move it out of the way, and that goes into this area down here. And I've just done Control V and pasted it in there. The whole name is in there. Now I'm going to go back to the name of the database again. Here, we only need the letters before the DDB, so we just need NH3NA in this particular case. So we're just going to go ahead and type that in, NH3NA. We also need to enable it by hitting the checkbox. Down here in the trace window, you may or may not see information about things being updated, because the first time you do this, you will get a message that it's reading components from the electrolyte database. Unfortunately, I've already done that when I was testing this video before I produced it, and since the components are already read in. We do have some other private databases which come along with the software. This is the geochemical database, the corrosion database, which you can use. We'll explain them in other videos. So just click X, and it begins to update. This part actually does take a while because it's repopulating this list. Okay, and we have several thousand components to be added to it, and there it is. It's building the lace. And we'll just do a very quick case here. H2O will add, and it takes a couple of seconds to update. And you saw it flash once or twice, and it will show up. It will show up. There it goes. And now we'll add ammonia. That's what the database is about. Sodium hydroxide. Okay, I'm just pressing the Enter key. You could hit the Add key here as well. When you click the little X to close the window, we're ready to build the model. You could initialize the electrolytes environment if you want. Aspen Hysys will do that automatically anyway. So it's actually going through our program. You can view the electrolytes that and the reactions by clicking this button, and you can see that here. There's a little tight here, so we'll just make it a little bigger. And you can see our chemistry that we have in the database. At this point, you can now run your simulation. And we're just going to create a single stream here. You can do it however you want to do it. I'm just creating a single stream. We're going to do it at 25 degrees. Atmospheric pressure, absolute. I go right into composition as my test. I think in moles, so I will use moles as my basis. I will give it about 55.5 moles of water, which is approximately a kilogram. I'll just put in some ammonia. I'll put in some sodium hydroxide. We'll click OK. It's going to flash it real quick. I can look at the composition. Well, I'm already on composition. And then you can look at the electrolytes here. Now, everything you know about Aspen Hysys is true. We're not going to teach you anything more in this video. It was just a way of showing you how to get a hold of the composition. And there is the composition here as well. All right, so that's the video. If you have any questions, please log a case through our portal at portal.olisystems.com, and we'll answer it as soon as we can. Thank you.